Hello and welcome. On September 2nd, 2023, Pete Homer, Natty Homer, and Zoe Homer, and your friend and mine, Jan Mandala, sat down with Tom Lopez, the genius writer, producer, and director behind the Fourth Tower of Inverness, Moon Over Morocco, Jack Flanders Adventures, and other radio plays that have inspired us since the early days of the peace and love movement. Mr. Lopez was gracious enough to set us down in his beautiful mansion on the Hudson River and delighted us for 3 hours with great tales from his life. Thank you, Tom. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in and listening to this excellent retrospective by Mr. Tom Lopez. Enjoy.
Technical and stuff.
He's getting weird.
Again.
To go back to my dad's question, so it ended up on our RPI radio.
Well, what happened, we went out to radio conferences, big radio conference in Los Angeles. That is a group, of several guys anyway. I think it's all guys. And at the big dinner, the promotions man of the year was Augie Bloom. Now Augie Bloom was now working for Jefferson Airplane. Okay. He was their person. He was RCA, by the way, but now he was honored as the radio man or promotions man of the year. And somehow or another, he ended up at our table, and we really hit it off. Augie was like, yeah, hip guy, really. And so we invited Augie. Said, listen, you ever out here, So and he was out hitting college stations on promoting Jefferson Airplanes, first couple albums, whatever it was. And he stopped in. And he may have stayed the night or something. But at some point, we're sitting here at the table, and Augie said, what have you been doing? And we said, well, we're working on a piece. And they had a couple of episodes of the Fourth Tower, Jack in the maze.
Yeah.
In the maze.
Fabulous.
And I said, come on over, and we took him next door and played. He said, maybe I can do something with this. Let me see what I can do. And he went back and he called Jason Slick and Paul Katner, great, and they were able to get the money to then be able to distribute it. And originally it went out to whatever it was, like close to 400 stations, I think.
I didn't know that.
And so RPI was just one of the stations.
I thought it was just RPI.
Yeah, and it's all tape. We had the tape. We found a tape place that actually
A duplicator?
Yeah, they in Washington D.C. They, as far as we know, it was all this government stuff that where they're whatever listening to people. Who knows? So the tape they would bulk erase and then they put another copy. So we got it very cheap.
Nice. Yeah.
And you never knew what it was, but the quality was good. And it went till stations got. Well, Fourth Tower was daily, and plus the weekend, which was the daily, was edited to fit into 30 minutes for the weekend, because we knew some stations only would want the half hours, and
Sort of like newspaper syndication for comic strips.
Yeah. You had to learn all this stuff, to figure out. And also, too, what happened was
Different markets want different things, and
what?
different markets want different,
Yeah.
Some wanted 10 minutes, some wanted
Micro
30 minutes.
variations.
Yeah. And in fact, that was decided on because 7 minutes. There was no radio drama being done then.
No, I know.
Right, yeah.
It's very,
And
very
so
unique.
it was sort of figuring out what might work. And the problem was, after doing the Fourth Tower, and, there's little bits of wisdom which you decided to toss in here and there. And, and all of that comes from the experience of living in Berkeley, knowing, knowing Beefheart, knowing Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
These people are all part of this in a sense of, like waking somebody up. And probably once I finished the Fourth Tower, and it was on the air while I was still writing it, so I had no idea. I just knew it was going to be 13 weeks, the 65 episodes, and it's got to end at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also you got to get it to the stations.
What a great payoff, though. When you meet Sir Giles.
Like keeps the crank going.
Yeah.
But the problem was when I finished, and it was like exhausted, and then decided that something I never expected, which is that. Because fans wanted more Fourth Tower. They didn't. We got some scathing letters. They hated Moon Over Morocco.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when it was first coming out, because
The beauty of Moon Over Morocco is you can. There's so much there.
They wanted more Fourth Tower. They wanted the characters. They wanted. And the thing was that once I never realized this is true. Once you know how to do something, you no longer have the freedom to not knowing what the hell you're doing and figuring it out. Now you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I could never do it again.
Yeah, right. Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. And so I had to, do something totally different.
So I was telling you on the phone yesterday that I was listening to Moon Over Morocco for the first time in years, and one of the things that struck me is a little notice at the beginning that says, this is not another Fourth Tower.
Yeah.
There will be, or I forget the exact wording, but like, don't be disappointed that this isn't another Fourth Tower.
Yeah.
It's a new thing, it's a different thing, it's a great thing, but it's not the same thing. And
Thank God.
I sort of was like, oh, okay, sure, yeah. And then it really was struck at how markedly different they are. And they feel there's it's not that the whimsy is gone in Moon Over Morocco, far from it, but there's a darker, tenser, more frightening tone. There's a desperation and a danger there that I found to be really really compelling and intriguing and surprising, given the general levity that kind of undercuts most of Fourth Tower.
Make rubber boogers.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it just has such depth. It was like a Russian novel, like Dostoevsky or something. It was just, it was much, for me, I loved it. Being a serious cat and all. Especially then.
There are people that like Moon Over Morocco that do not like Fourth Tower.
Sure.
I don't like them. Because they're both, they're different. They're different, but they're just... what struck me really, I think, at the time was that how cutting edge it was. I mean, the past life regression. Now, these are things that are part of mainstream now. But how did you, open up that?
Well, again, the group here was pretty hip.
Yeah, you guys were ahead of the curve.
I wish I had spent time here.
And somebody shows up, and people would get involved in Buddhism and so.
Yeah.
So somebody was there. I don't know where the connection was, but somebody met a guru in Big Indian. It's called. It's down in the Catskills area.
Yeah, I know that town.
Oh,
sure.
And
there's a Buddhist
Swami Rudananda. Swami Rudananda.
Oh, okay.
Or Rudy, as we called him. And we liked Rudy. I mean, some people his Kriya yoga, Kundalini yoga, was powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I never felt, because that's where you bring it down, you breathe it down, and it comes back up your spine.
Kundalini.
Supposedly. And I mean, to give you an example, it's like going to where he'd have his class, which might have 100 people or something, and the example was of this Indian guru or Indian Swami or something from India coming and also to see Rudy, because that's what he was teaching. And Rudy said, he's standing up there, and then he says, "Let's go bowling." And he goes, this energy, and people sitting along, where he took this, meaning it's going up their spine, and there's like the energy is so fucking potent.
Yeah.
And Rudy was like, he was here a few times, but he was here one day, and I just happened to be in the other room, either sitting alone or something. He comes in, or he was sitting alone. I came in, I don't know what it was, and I'm sitting there, and I said, Rudy, people talk about the Om sound, and I said, I don't even know what it is. Is it something out there or in here, and he fell silent. He's sitting now. I'm sitting and he's sitting across the room on the sofa, and I'm he's very silent, but I knew that he heard me, and I'm looking, and he's like, in a sense, disappears. When I say disappears, he's like this oval light.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going, and it isn't like I felt something was, and then he's sort of back, sitting there, and he says, "Can you hear it now?" Good.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was like, meaning, so you meet certain people that do, I was never into the stuff, but that do some, like little Frida, doesn't have any pupils in her eye. Now that comes from somebody showing up at the door, a couple. They had just been down at a rock, one of these get-togethers, like Woodstock, only smaller kind of thing. And they met a couple of what they said were Venusians.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, you never knew what the fuck was going to walk in here.
Yeah.
But and they had no pupils in their eyes.
Nice.
And of course, I am into very little of this stuff, and I certainly wasn't into that. But I thought, what an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Well, get your notebook out.
Where little Frida comes from. So so you pick up all these little things, and they often coming from people walking in your door. So.